Hey everyone, this is Jen over at jensscrappypages.blogspot.com, and today's project is this clean and simple card that I created using the Succulent Framelits dies. And I thought I would share with you briefly, hopefully I can keep it quick, my process of coming up with this card. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get stuck. Well, I get stuck a lot on what I want to make, even though I want to sit down and play. It doesn't always come to me right away. And so, I don't know, a couple weeks ago I ran across this card that I created probably about 3-4 years ago. And I just always liked the way it was. It was just kind of simple. And it's a little bit easier to see in this card, but there's like an embossed edge going around it. So I pulled it out of my stash and decided to recreate it using Stampin' Up's products. And I ended up creating a couple of them. This one is using Peekaboo Peach and Watermelon Wonder. And then this one is So Saffron and Calypso Coral. So let's get started, and I'll go over the products that we're going to be using. Okay, so there's not a whole lot. The 1/4 inch very vanilla ribbon and a few sparkles, the Succulent Garden Framelits, and I used the 3 smallest of these flowers here, and Sunshine Sayings, which is kind of my go-to stamp set for smaller sayings where I just need like 1 or 2 words or something small to fit in my area. And then I used, as I said, I used So Saffron and Calypso Coral. And then, Wink of Stella. And for paper, you're going to need a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of Calypso Coral, a 4 by 5 1/4 very vanilla, 2 by 3 3/4, a 2 3/4 by 4 So Saffron, and then just a strip of shimmery cardstock, the shimmery white. This is about 2 inches wide, and I'll explain a little bit later why I use this size of strip. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get out our paper trimmer or whatever scoring apparatus that you use works as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around this whole entire piece 1/2 inch in. And I want my score line to be pretty defined so it stands out. So just go over it a few times, you know, hard enough to make an indentation, but not so hard that you're ripping through your paper. So just a couple times with, you know, fairly heavy hand. And this shouldn't take too long. I'm going to set this aside, and then we're going to do the same for the smaller piece here, except this time we're going to only go 1/4 inch in. And again, we're going to go all 4 sides. Let's see if you could see this. Oops. I'm still trying to get used to where to put my... You see that outline there? If I can keep it in the screen, there you go. Kind of see that. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to set our paper trimmer back over to the side and start assembling the card. And as I've mentioned in my previous videos, I prefer the control over just folding it in half and then creasing it with my bone folder. But if you would like to use and score it, it's scored at 5 1/2, so you have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. And then for fear of making my indentations go away, I'm just putting adhesive on the inner part of this which it still holds it on pretty good, so. And just like that. And then we're going to set this aside, and we're going to take a smaller, very vanilla piece. And we're going to set it up here towards the top, just kind of even with all the edges at the top. And then we're going to take our ribbon and wrap it around. And I put this approximately 1/4 of an inch underneath of my piece here. Oops. Yeah, I guess that didn't quite stay. Okay. Then you're going to tie a bow. And I've had, on a group that I was in, someone asked, you know, what's the way to tie a perfect bow? Well, I don't know if I can ever get a perfect bow. I don't know, is there such a thing as a perfect bow? I like to make it a little bit bigger than I need to at first, so then I can just pull in and kind of work it down to the size that I need, and then I just give it a tug and make sure it's tight, and then if I see that it needs to be a little bit smaller, I make it a little bit smaller. So I think this one's just about right. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. And then I just kind of, you know, tug on my little tails. And then I'll fluff it out because, you know, when I pull on it, I make those little creases in the ribbon, but if you just kind of fluff them out again, it takes it out of there. That's about as perfect as I'm going to get for my bow. Not too shabby. Then I'm going to take a little glue dot, if I can find the end to this. Oops. Then we're just going to stick this right about here. And then I like to take another glue dot and stick it underneath of where, underneath of that main ribbon, just to kind of hold it in place. I suppose you don't need it, but I kind of like it so it doesn't move around. And then we're going to put some dimensionals on the back just to pop it up off of the card base. And before I put that on, I'm going to take my Calypso Coral ink and I'm going to stamp down at the bottom right hand corner, just kind of right here where your two scored lines meet. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit so I can see it and hopefully not stick my head in the way. Yesterday I was doing a video and couldn't keep my head out of it. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and this will just fit nicely nestled in among all these score lines, like so. And that part is done for now. So we're going to set that aside. I'm going to keep my Calypso Coral ink out, and I think I'm going to move it over here. And then I'm going to grab a scratch piece of paper to work on in my shimmery white cardstock. And then to do this, I just used a couple of little sponge daubers, but you can use whatever sponge you have. And when you're doing this, remember which finger is which ink pad, because I made the mistake a couple times of dipping my Calypso Coral into my Saffron, which isn't a pretty sight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, you know, kind of rub it in here in a circular motion. And there really is no wrong or right way to do this. I started, you know, I did it a couple different ways. I did it where I did, you know, a little bit of Saffron and then a little bit of the Calypso coral. And the last time I did it, I kind of found that it was, I liked the softer look of putting the Saffron down first. And you just need, you know, enough coverage to make sure that your dies are going to fit on here. So, and then come in and, you know, kind of bring in your Calypso coral. And, you know, just make some little puddles, I guess. Kind of like that, maybe. And then I went back over it again and kind of softened up my Calypso coral a little bit. Kind of so you didn't have, you know, these harsh lines of where your ink begins and ends. And it's kind of crazy because when you're, did you see that? I almost dipped that in there. You know, it looks completely different. So you might not like the way it's turning out on here, but when you put your flowers on and you die cut, it looks completely different. It's kind of a cool, cool thing. So maybe I'll come in here and make this a little bit darker. And like I said, it's just, you know, kind of personal preference. Whatever you feel looks just right to you. Okay, I think that's enough. Get the inks out of the way. Pull this, and we're going to get your Big Shot out. And then, oh, that's kind of pretty, huh? And then you'll just place your flowers on here, kind of wherever you want them. Oh, I can't get that other one. I think I'll put maybe that one down here. And that's why you only need, you know, that surface. Of course, if your flowers were bigger, you'd want a bigger piece. I started with a lot larger piece than I needed, and I found like I found like my splotches didn't look, I don't know, didn't look as nice, or so I prefer to stay within a size that's not much bigger than what my flowers are. I guess I could have been talking and rolling this thing, but you know, that means doing two things at once, which I'm not that great at. And then just flip those over, and we're going to poke them out. See? So you can't, you know, once it's cut out, you just, it's kind of fun because you don't really know what you're going to get, what it's going to look like. But, so that just kind of ended up being a little bit, you know, variegated or whatever, and I think it's kind of pretty. Okay. So there's that. I'm going to bring out my scrap paper again, and we're going to get out the Wink of Stella. Now when you do this, don't worry, your Wink of Stella is going to grab a little bit of that ink off, but it's not, you know, going to muddy it or make it look bad or anything, but it will grab some of the ink off. And you just want to lightly, you know, run it on there. And the other thing is, as dark as we started off with our sponged area, this lightens up a lot. So it won't stay this vibrant, but it'll still be just as beautiful, I think. Okay, so those are done. And then I'm just going to adhere them using a glue dot on the back side of each one. And while those dry, I'm going to go ahead and grab a few that I have already done. Since these are dry, I'm going to go ahead and just use these. I'm not quite sure what happened to my paper piercer, but I'd like to curl the edges. And so, you know, the paper piercer was nice because I just used the, you know, the edge of the paper piercer, but the bone folder works nice too. So you just kind of want to curl it up for a little bit of dimension. And they'd be cute flat too, but I kind of like having the edges curled up. And I'm just going to use my little dots here, put that in the center of it, and that's going to go just up here in this corner a little bit. And then I'm going to take the second largest one and do the same. Be careful not to pull your little petals off. I'm always afraid that's going to come off. And then this one will kind of come down here a little bit. And then last but not least, we're going to get this one on here. Oh, if it'll stick to my dot. There. And that will come, I don't know, like that. And, you know, one can't have too much sparkle. That's my philosophy. So, just going to throw one in the center. And I used, you know, the big sparkle for the big flower, and came down here and used the next size down, and then finally ended with this little one. And there it is. That's it. And the flowers turn out different each time. I don't know if you can see, usually I can't see the shimmer, and now the shimmer is almost so much that you can hardly see the flower. But there it is. And I'll bring up the other one that I did so you can see the different colors. I don't know which one I like better. I kind of like the ribbon on this one. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of just that single piece of twine, but I think they both turned out really cute. And I can't wait to send it to someone. So if you would like to, you can head over to my blog, jensscrappypages.blogspot.com, and I will have printable and downloadable instructions in a PDF format in case you're interested in printing this for future use. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little something new, and I hope you check out my next video. I'll talk at you later.